I never thought I'd poison the well I drank from, but when your best friend, your lover, frames you for corporate espionage to climb the ladder, you start wondering if arsenic tastes like justice. That night in the server room, as alarms blared and security lights painted my face red, I whispered her name like a curse, Elena, and just like that, I became the fall guy for the algorithm that made us all rich, the one she'd stolen from my code and slapped her name on. But here's the hook that keeps me up at night. What if the real crime wasn't hers, but mine for building something so powerful it could rewrite lives? And then watching it destroy them? I remember the exact moment it all cracked open, like a fault line under the flawless facade of our Bay Area bubble. It was a Tuesday in late summer, the kind where the fog rolls in thick from the Pacific, smothering the golden hills of Palo Alto and turning the venture capital offices into ghost ships adrift in the mist. I'd been pulling 18-hour days at Nexra Labs, the hottest AI startup since the last one imploded in scandal. Nexra wasn't just another app peddler. We were building Echo, an algorithm that didn't just predict consumer behavior, it anticipated desires before they formed, weaving through data streams like a digital oracle. It could tell a single mom in Oakland what her kid needed before she swiped her EBT card, or nudge a hedge funder in Atherton toward the stock that'd double overnight. Ethical? Hell, in Silicon Valley, ethics are just the fine print on the term sheet. My name's Rose Harlan, 32, the invisible gear in the machine. I grew up in a Rust Belt trailer park outside Detroit, where innovation meant jury-rigging a carburetor with duct tape. Coding was my ticket out, scholarships to MIT, then a PhD in machine learning that had recruiters salivating. But Nexra? That was Elena's doing. We met at a hackathon in San Francisco 3 years back. Two women in a sea of programmers, pounding Red Bulls and debugging neural nets till dawn. She was all fire and charisma, with that effortless Latina glow from her Miami roots, pitching ideas that made VCs wet themselves. I was the quiet one, the architect behind the code, turning her visions into silicon reality. Elena Vasquez. God. Even saying her name now feels like swallowing glass. We weren't just colleagues. We were partners in every sense. Late nights blurred into mornings tangled in my studio apartment overlooking the bay, her head on my chest as we whispered about disrupting the world. Rose, she'd say, tracing patterns on my skin like she was mapping code. You're the brain. I'm the mouth. Together, we're unstoppable. And Echo? That was our baby. I wrote the core, recursive loops that learned from shadows in the data, pulling from public records, social feeds, even satellite imagery to build hyper-personalized profiles. It wasn't creepy, it was compassionate, or so we told ourselves. Elena handled the pitch decks, schmoozing with the money men at Rosewood Sandhill, turning my dry algorithms into gold-plated dreams. The betrayal didn't hit like a thunderclap. It crept in, insidious as a buffer overflow. First, the whispers in the open plan office. Elena's killing it with Echo. My commits to the repo, suddenly credited to team efforts. Then, the demo at TechCrunch Disrupt. I sat in the front row, heart swelling as she unveiled it on stage, the crowd erupting as holographic projections danced with predictive magic. But when she thanked the brilliant minds at Nexra, my name wasn't among them. Just an oversight, she texted later. Champagne emoji winking. You're my secret weapon, babe. I let it slide. Love makes fools of us all. And in the valley, credit's just another currency. But then came the glitch. Echo started spitting anomalies, profiles that weren't predictive, but prescriptive. A user in Fresno got nudged toward a loan he couldn't afford, spiraling into debt. An elderly woman in Sacramento? Her feed flooded with scam alerts disguised as personalized advice, draining her savings. We traced it back. A backdoor in the training data, laced with manipulated inputs from offshore servers. Someone had poisoned the well. Intentionally. That's when the feds knocked. FBI. Not the SEC, Cyber Division. Badges gleaming under the fluorescent hum of our lobby.
DR.
Harlan, the lead agent said, a stone-faced guy named Kowalski with a Midwest twang. We have reason to believe Echo's been weaponized for fraud. My stomach dropped. Elena was in New York, closing a round, but her laptop was open on the conference table. Browser history glowing like a neon accusation. Queries for dark web data brokers. Timestamps matching the glitch's origin. I covered for her.
Why?
Because in that split-second calculus of panic, loyalty trumped logic. I claimed the backdoor as my own, a coding error during a late-night sprint. Signed the waiver. Faced the internal audit alone. Nexra's board, a cabal of ex-Google suits and Sandhill sharks, demanded a scapegoat to keep the IPO train chugging. Elena returned the next day, eyes wide with feigned shock, hugging me in the break room. Rose, what happened? I can't believe you'd. Her voice cracked just right, tears glistening like pixels. They fired me that afternoon. Go home, Rose, the HR drone said, handing over my severance in a manila envelope fat with NDAs. For the good of the company. I drove out to the Marin headlands that night, waves crashing below the cliffs like the sound of my unraveling. Home? What home? My apartment lease was corporate subsidized, without Nexra. I was adrift in a city that chews up dreamers and spits out husks. But Elena? She got promoted. Interim CTO, the press release crowed, crediting her with navigating the crisis. Echo relaunched as Echo 2.0, scrubbed of glitches, raking in billions. Forbes ran a profile, the Latina trailblazer rescuing AI from itself. I read it in a dive bar off Divisadero, nursing a whiskey sour, the kind that burns going down and hollows you out. That's when the secret clawed its way up. The backdoor wasn't a mistake. It was Elena's insurance policy. She'd embedded it early, a kill switch to siphon data for her side hustle, selling profiles to political PACs, the kind that micro-target swing voters with PSYOP precision. I found the proof in a forgotten Git branch, buried under layers of her commits, transfers to Cayman accounts, emails to a fixer named Ghost. The crime I'd borne? Not just the glitch, but the fallout. A class action suit ballooned, victims from the valley's underbelly. The gig workers and baristas Echo had preyed on. One suicide. A kid in Modesto who'd chased a phantom job lead till he jumped from the BART tracks. His mom picketed Nexra's gates. Sign reading, algorithms killed my son. I could have spoken up. But silence bought Elena's affection. Or so I thought.
Now.
It bought her empire. Revenge isn't a light switch, it's a slow fuse in the gut. I crashed on a friend's couch in Oakland, scraping by on freelance gigs debugging e-commerce bots. But every night, I'd stare at my laptop screen, Echo's ghost in the machine mocking me. The valley moves fast. Nexra's valuation hit unicorn status. Elena keynoting at South by Southwest. Her TED Talk on ethical AI going viral. I watched it on loop, her lies wrapping around my throat like kudzu. The plan crystallized over takeout pho in the Temescal district, rain pattering the window like impatient fingers. I'd build something better, not just to expose her, but to eclipse her. A fork of Echo, my original code, laced with a Trojan that'd unravel her facade from the inside. Call it Echo's echo, a mirror that reflected not desires, but truths. I'd seed it anonymously on GitHub, let the open-source hive mind amplify it. But to make it sting, I needed access, insider keys, the kind only a betrayed lover might still have cached in her phone's cloud. Infiltrating Elena's life again was like picking at a scab. I created a burner profile, Jax Rivera, a fictional VC scout from Austin, sliding into her DMs on LinkedIn with flattery sharp as a stiletto. Saw your disrupt talk, mind-blowing. Coffee and SF. She bit. Of course. Ego's the Valley's original sin. We met at Blue Bottle in the Ferry Building. Fog horns moaning outside. She was sharper now. Power suit-hugging curves I'd once mapped by touch. But the smile was the same, predatory. Promising. Jax, she purred, stirring her latte. Tell me why a Texan like you cares about little old me. I spun the yarn, scouting for a stealth fund. Eyes on disruptive women. She ate it up. Dropping nuggets, Nexra's expansion into DC. Lobbying for looser data regs. By the third meetup, over oysters at Hog Island, she'd synced our calendars. Shared a drive link for collab. Jackpot. Admin creds to Echo's backend. Passwords whispered like foreplay. But crack showed. Her eyes lingered too long. A flicker of recognition in my laugh. Paranoia? Or intuition? I pushed harder. Coding through feverish nights in a sublet in the Mission. Murals of Chase staring down as I wove the Trojan. It wasn't destruction. Nothing so crude. Echo's echo would infiltrate via API calls, subtly altering outputs for Elena's pack clients. Predictions flipped to expose donor hypocrisies for everyday users. Nudges toward whistleblower forums. Controversial? You bet. One test run glitched a senator's feed, outing his offshore slush fund. He rage-tweeted about deepfakes, but the damage stuck. His poll numbers tanked. Word spread. Hackers on Reddit's r/machine learning hailed it as the conscience patch. Elena noticed. Our dates turned interrogative. Heard about this rogue fork, she said one night at her penthouse in Soma. Skyline glittering like fool's gold. Wineglass in hand, she paced the floor-to-ceiling views. Smells like sour grapes from an ex-employee. My pulse hammered. But I played cool. Jealousy's the mother of invention. She laughed. Too sharp. And pulled me close. You know, Jax, you remind me of someone. That fire. Sex that night was war clawing. Claiming a desperate bid to blind her. But dawn brought clarity.
She was on to me.
A text while I showered. Rose? If that's you, come clean. We can fix this. Heart in my throat. I bolted. Laptop underarm. The city waking to another grind. The fuse burned hot now. I released the fork from a VPN in Reno, Nevada, neutral ground, tumbleweeds and truck stops far from Cali scrutiny. Download spiked. 10,000 in hours. Forking into variants. Nexra's stock wobbled as report surfaced. Echo glitching again. This time with truth bombs. A pack ad by exposed as Russian Tide. A VC's philanthropy revealed as tax dodge. Elena went dark. Then nuclear. Press conference at Nexra HQ. Tear streaked. Decrying sabotage by a disgruntled insider. My face flashed on screens nationwide. Grainy photo from the firing. Labeled suspect. Rose Harlan. Feds again. This time with warrants. I holed up in a motel off I-80. sagebrush whispering conspiracies. But the twist? The media frenzy split the nation. Justice furrows trended on TikTok, gig economy warriors sharing glitch stories, painting me as underdog avenger. Counter hashtag, protect innovation, tech bros decrying me as terrorist coder. Pundits on CNN debated, vigilante or villain. One op-ed in the Cron called it the most American revenge since the Boston Tea Party, dumping data in the harbor. Elena reached out through a mutual. Meet me. Neutral ground. End this. The spot, an abandoned warehouse in Hunters Point, old naval yards where the city's ghosts linger in rust and graffiti. I went armed with nothing but a thumb drive, the kill switch for my Trojan, and proof of her Cayman wires. Tension coiled like barbed wire as I stepped inside. Salt air thick from the bay. She waited in the gloom, silhouette sharp against shafts of light-piercing cracked windows. "Rose," she said, voice echoing off concrete. "You always were the better coder." No anger, just weary calculation. We circled like duelists. Words are blades. "You stole everything," I spat. "My code. My life. Framed me for your dirt." She laughed. Bitter. "And you? You built Echo on stolen dreams. That compassionate core? Trained on scraped hospital records from underfunded clinics, data from dying kids in Detroit, like your old neighborhood. I covered for you when the ethics board sniffed around. Lies? Or the mirror I dreaded? Flashback hit. My thesis data. Ethically sourced? I'd bent rules. Pulling from public health APIs without full consent, telling myself it was for the greater good. The glitch wasn't just her poison, it amplified my original sin. "You think you're the hero?" she pressed, stepping closer. Her perfume a ghost of better days. "This Trojan? It's killing jobs, Echo's clients folding. Layoffs in the thousands. Oakland's hurting worse now." Truth stung. My test runs hadn't accounted for ripple effects. Consultants idled. Families strained. Was I any better? The climax broke then. Raw and unscripted. Sirens wailed distant. Her tip-off. Mine? We lunged for the drive. A tangle of limbs and accusations. "I loved you," I screamed, pinning her wrist. "This was us."
Love.
She twisted free, eyes flashing. "You were always the shadow." Rose. I made us shine. Decision time. Smash the drive. End it all. Or upload the final payload. Her confession. Recorded on my phone. Blasting to every news outlet. Controversial? It'd torch Nexera. But vindicate the victims. Or mercy. Walk away. Let the courts sort the grays. I hesitated. That's when the twist landed, courtesy of a burner phone buzzing in her pocket. She answered, voice shifting to honey. "Bored?"
Yeah.
"It's contained." "Roses." Cooperative. Betrayal Redux, she played me, recording our reunion to flip the script. Paint me as the aggressor. Rage surged, pure and clarifying. I hit upload anyway, drive syncing to the cloud as cops breached the doors. Flashbangs popped, shouts of federal agents. Elena's face twisted, not triumph, but terror, as her empire crumbled in real-time notifications. They cuffed us both, wrists grinding cold steel. In the van, en route to holding, she leaned close. "You win, Rose." But what now? Heroes don't sleep in cells. The aftermath? A media circus that split America like a fault line. Nexera imploded, stock cratered. board scattered to consultancies in Dubai. Elena copped a plea, 5 years for wire fraud. Her TED legacy, a punchline.
Me?
Charges dropped after the confession aired. Whistleblower status shielded me. Sort of. But the twist that haunts debates in bars from Brooklyn to Boise, those hospital records, they trace back to a hack I'd greenlit, indirectly funding black market meds that saved lives in underserved clinics. My sin birthed quiet miracles. Elena's greed amplified horrors. Who was the villain? The betrayed. For unleashing chaos? The betrayer. For building on borrowed bones? I cashed my settlement, enough for a cabin in the Sierras, where pines whisper secrets and the internet's a faint hum. Happy ending? If redemption's measured in quiet sunrises. Maybe. But on stormy nights, when thunder rolls like FBI knocks, I wonder, did I avenge? Or just drag us both into the abyss? The valley rebuilt without us. Shinier.
Hungrier.
And somewhere, in the code's endless loop, Echo still dreams. Life after the fall feels like debugging a crash system, endless recompiles. But the core dump's always there, mocking you with what could have been. I settled into Big Sur country, a weathered A-frame clinging to cliffs where the Pacific chews at the continent like it's got a grudge. No more Bay Area buzz, just salt spray and the occasional hiker mistaking me for a recluse artist. The settlement money bought anonymity, wired from a blind trust, laundered through crypto I'd learned to love in darker days. But freedom? That's the real glitch. It itches under the skin, reminding you the world's still wired without you. Nexera's corpse fed the ecosystem. As expected. Echo's IP fragmented, bits auctioned to Amazon for pennies on the dollar. Others forked into ethical startups by Elena's former acolytes, rebranded as saviors. The headlines faded. AI whistleblower vanishes. Rose Harlan's next move? Substack newsletters dissected my strategy. Podcastos with bro-pod voices debating if I was Snowden or Snowden-lite. Rose Revenge merch popped up on Etsy, t-shirts with circuit board thorns crowning a stylized R. I bought one, ironically, and wore it hiking the Pfeiffer Falls Trail, laughing till tears came. Laughter's the best revenge, they say, but mine tasted like ash. Elena wrote from Lompoc, the federal women's camp up the coast. Low security. They let her have stamps and supervised emails. First letter arrived in a plain envelope, postmarked with that sterile precision of prison mail. Rose, it began. No babe or pet names. I don't expect forgiveness. But truth? You deserve it. Pages followed. Confessions I'd half suspected, half dreaded. The back door? Her idea from day one. A hedge against what if we flop. The pack deals? Started as consulting gigs to fund our wedding, yeah. She had plans. A courthouse elopement with ocean views. My firing? Board pressure. But she could have fought. I chose ambition over us, she admitted. Ink smudged like regret. The kicker, our shared sins. Echo's training data included swipes from immigrant aid databases, folks fleeing cartels. Their stories digitized without consent. I justified it as anonymized aggregates, but Elena detailed the fallout. A family deported after IC cross-reference leaks. We both pulled the trigger, she wrote. I aimed, you loaded. Reading it by lantern light. Waves crashing below. I felt the divide sharpen. Was this absolution or another con? Part of me, the coder, the lover, wanted to visit. Sit across plexiglass and hash variables till we balance the equation. The rest? Burn the letter in the fireplace. Watching flames dance like faulty neurons. But ghosts don't ash easy. A month in, a package thudded on my porch. No return address. Wrapped in brown paper smelling of printer toner. Inside, a hard drive labeled Echo's Shadow and a note in block print. You started it. Finish it.
G.
Ghost. Her fixer. Curiosity's a virus. I plugged it in. Firewall be damned. Folders bloomed. Terabytes of raw data. Nexera's underbelly. Emails chaining execs to bribery rings. Voice memos of boardroom deals with Beijing spies. The crown jewel? Blueprints for Echo 3.0. Elena's pet project from lockdown. An AI not for consumers, but control. Predictive policing on steroids. Profiling high-risk neighborhoods with drone feeds and facial rec. It had been pitched to DHS. Greenlit pre-scandal. Why send it to me? Leverage. Probably bait to draw me back. Testify in her appeal. Or genuine olive branch. Her way of saying, we're the same code. Forked but flawed. I spent weeks dissecting it. Coffee going cold as lines blurred. The tech was brilliant, self-healing networks that adapted to scrutiny. Evading audits like a virus mutates. But deploy it? I'd be handing Big Brother the keys to the kingdom. Controversial doesn't cover it. It'd spark riots from Ferguson to Portland. Lines drawn between safety and surveillance state. The pole was magnetic. I could have torched the drive, hiked the John Muir Trail till blisters erased the past. Instead, I drove north to a hacker collective in Portland, ghost hackers. Misfits who'd praised my fork on dark web forums. They called their squat the Node, a converted brewery warehouse alive with server hums and the tang of solder. Rose Harlan in the flesh, the lead coder. A pierced kid named Kai with a septum ring.
Grinned.
Heard you coded the apocalypse. We collabed in fever pitch, fortifying the data, embedding leaks into a decentralized app, ShadowNet, a blockchain whisper dropping bombs on demand. No central server. Users voted on drops. Anonymity baked in. Test run. A memo outing a Nexera holdover as a child labor enabler in cobalt mines. Twitter, X, exploded. Stock for his firm tanked 40%. The high? Electric. Like the old days with Elena. But pure. No betrayal lurking in the commits. Word got back. Fast as a DDoS. Elena's lawyer called my burner. MS. Vasquez requests a sit-down. Off record. Curiosity 1. I flew commercial to LA, blending into the sprawl of minivans and palm fronds. The visit room smelled of bleach and despair. Vending machines humming judgment. Elena looked smaller. Orange jumpsuit swallowing her frame, but eyes still sharp as switchblades. You came, she said. Receiver to her ear. Voice tinny through the line. Ghost's gift?
Cute.
What's the angle? No angle.
Pause.
Her gaze dropping. It's yours. Echo was always your baby. I just borrowed. Lies layered like lasagna. And the DHS pitch? Control freak much. She winced. Post you. Paranoia. After the glitch, I needed something unbreakable. But seeing your fork, it woke me. We're not gods. Rose. Just programmers playing with fire. The divide cracked then. Tears? Hers. Not mine. Help me appeal. Testify we shared the load. I go down alone. It's all on you, the suicides. The suits. Tempting. Testimony could gray the narrative. Make me complicit enough to humanize us both. But upload ShadowNet fully? It'd bury her deeper.
Expose the web she'd spun.
I left without promising. The desert wind scouring LA's basin as I drove to Joshua Tree. Stars indifferent overhead. Decision night. Full moon over the boulders. A joint passed among commune stragglers.
Hi.
I saw the matrix, zeros and ones weaving fate. Controversial choice. Partial leak. Drop the bribery chains, but watermark the DHS files with Elena's SIG, framing her as the architect. Mercy with teeth. Or full burn. Let the hive decide. Upload started at dawn. Pings rippling global. By noon, Walpo broke the story. Ex-Nexera execs in spy scandal. Elena's appeal?
Denied.
Sentence doubled. Her last letter. You chose right. Or did you? The data saves some. Dooms others. We're echoes now. The split widened. Online forums fractured. Some hailed me as Digital Joan of Arc. Others as chaotic neutral. A Randian destroyer. A Netflix doc pitched. Forked. The Rose and Elena Wars. I declined, but whispers followed. Job offers from ethical AI firms. Book deals from publishers chasing the next Bad Blood. Back in Big Sur. I coded solo, a personal project. Echo's Redemption Arc. An app for community gardens. Predicting yields from soil scans. Free for food deserts. Small scale.
No bucks.
No glory. But Elena's shadow lingered. A news alert. Her transfer to a halfway house. Early release for cooperation. Cooperation with who? Ghost? Paranoia scripted the next act. I traced a breach, my cabin's Wi-Fi. Subtle as a keylogger. They were coming. Or was it her? One last play? The breach wasn't subtle for long. It escalated like a kernel panic. First pings from unknown IPs probing my router. Then a drone humming overhead at dusk. Its red eye winking through the redwoods. I spotted it from the deck. Coffee mug frozen mid-sip. The Pacific a slate-gray mirror below. Paranoia? Or prelude? In the valley, threats come coded. Phishing emails. Doxed addresses. Or worse, hit jobs disguised as accidents, like that Uber XX freak cycling mishap. I packed light. Laptop. Go bag. The hard drive's clone on a titanium thumbstick. Drove inland, twisting Highway 1 till it spat me into Monterey's tourist traps, blending with whale watch crowds. Elena, out on good behavior. The news hit while I nursed a clam chowder in Cannery Row. Salt air thick with fried fish and regret. Reform tech titan turns informant, the merc ran. She'd flipped on the board, naming names in exchange for witness protection. Ghost included. His Cayman empire unraveling in IRS audits. My partial leak had lit the fuse. Her snitching poured the gas. Gratitude? Or grudge? The article quoted her. Rose Harlan showed me the light. Without her, I'd still be blind. Bullshit. Or breakthrough. I needed eyes on her. Borrowed a contact from the node, Kai's cousin. A PI with a van tricked out like a Bond gadget. EVs in witness safekeeping, he reported over encrypted chat. Surveillance stills attached. Elena in a nondescript sedan. Suburb of Sacramento. Hair dyed mousy. Shopping Trader Joe's like a soccer mom. But the tale? Feds. Or freelancers. One photo chilled. Her glancing back. Straight at the lens. A ghost of a smile. She reached out direct. A postcard. No return. Image of the Golden Gate shrouded in fog. Rose, meet at the place we started. Midnight. July 4th. No games.
E.
The hackathon spot? That dive bar in the Mission. Now a hipster tuck area with string lights and synthwave playlists. Independence Day, irony thick as the fog. Fireworks would mask any drama. The city drunk on patriotism and craft IPAs. I debated ghosting, but the pull was gravitational. Armed with a concealed recorder and pepper spray in my boot, I slipped into the throng. The bar pulsed, tattooed 20-somethings slamming Patron shots. Reggaeton thumping under mariachi covers. Elena at a corner booth. Incognito in a hoodie and jeans.
Nursing a modelo.
She looked
Human.
worn, but wired. You came, she said, echoing Lompoc, sliding a beer across scarred wood. Curiosity. Or closure. Pick one. We talked orbits first, small talk as shrapnel. Her halfway house grind, group therapy with white-collar crooks, learning to own her narrative. My cabin idol, coding co-ops for refugee coders, teaching Python to kids in Oakland pop-ups. Then the meat, ShadowNet's fallout. Your drop saved lives, she said, eyes earnest. That cobalt expose?
Shut down a mine.
Kids freed, but others hurt. I leaned in, voice low over the din. Layoffs.
Elena.
Families evicted because their pack puppet strings got cut. Her flinch was real. Collateral. Like our data sins.
Pause.
Fireworks popping outside. Casting strobe shadows. I flipped because of you. Testified on the hospital scrapes, your scrapes. Cleared your name fully. Off record. The twist uncoiled then. Sly as a buffer exploit. Ghosts sent the drive, she confessed. But I seeded it. Knew you'd build something. Needed you to force my hand. Betrayal's echo. So this, us, is what? Your redemption arc. Us. She reached across. Fingers brushing mine, electric. Treacherous. Always was. I framed you to protect you from the board's heat. They wanted blood. I gave them a patsy.
But you.
You fought back. Made me see. Lies layered, but laced with truth. The board had sniffed my data bends early. Elena's oversight on credits? Deflection. Our love, genuine, till ambition glitched it. Controversial calculus. Forgive, rebuild, or expose her flip as fresh fraud. Fireworks crescendoed. The crowd cheering as colors bloomed red, white, blue. In the flash, I saw it, her phone buzzing, screen glow betraying a text. Target acquired. Green light. Ghosts remnants? Or feds tying loose ends. Panic surged. I yanked her arm. We're blown. We bolted through the kitchen. Grease-slick tiles and clanging pots. Out a loading dock into alleys reeking of urine and possibility. Sirens wailed distant, fireworks or pursuit. We ran. Hearts pounding in sync like old sprints, ducking into a BART station, blending with late-night revelers. On the platform, train rumbling in, she gasped. Rose. I didn't. Save it. I shoved the recorder into her hand, uploaded live to a dead man switch. If I vanished, it dropped everything, her testimony transcripts, proving the frame was mercy murder. We're even. Or as even as it gets. The train doors hissed. I boarded alone. Her silhouette shrinking on the platform. Mouth forming words lost to the screech. Sacramento? No, back to the cabin. But fortified. Faraday cage for the router. Bear spray by the bed. Days blurred into paranoia protocols, scanning for tails. Varying routines. The drop never triggered. Elena vanished into protection. A ghost for real. But the real climax brewed in the courts. Not alleys. Nexra's remnants sued. Defamation. They claimed, my leak's malicious. I countersued. Whistleblower style. Allying with the victim's class action. Trial in San Jose Federal. Circus atmosphere. Protesters outside waving code, not chains signs. Counter-protests from tech packs decrying anarchy.
Inside.
The gray zone shone. Elena testified remotely. Voice steady. Rose bore no blame. I did it all for love. For legacy. Perjury? Or penance? My stand, the witness box. Under fluorescent glare. Recounting the betrayal beat by beat. She stole my code. My credit. My freedom. Gasps from the gallery Valley elite. Slumming it for schadenfreude. But the twist I dropped? The hospital data's dual edge. Yes. Scraped unethically. But it birthed an offshoot algorithm, now diagnosing rare diseases in rural clinics. Saving hundreds. No one's clean, I said, locking eyes with the judge. A no-nonsense Latina from East LA. But silence kills slower than truth. Jury deliberated 3 days, deadlocked twice. Rumors of fistfights in the deliberation room. Verdict, Nexra liable. $200 mil payout split among plaintiffs. Me, cleared. With a gag order olive branch, consult for the remnants. Guide ethical reboots. I walked. Media scrum shoving mics like bayonets. Rose. Villain or victor, one yelled. I flipped them the bird. American as apple pie. The divide deepened post-trial. Op-eds clashed. NYT called it a reckoning for big tech soul. Fox spun rogue coders' assault on free enterprise. Reddit threads devolved into wars. Inkel's backing Elena as hustler queen. Feminists crowning me shadow slayer. A late-night host quipped, Rose Harlan, because revenge is a dish best served with Python. Elena surfaced in a blog post. Anonymous but obvious. To the woman who forked my heart. Thank you. We're both free now. Free? I laughed. Deleting it. But nights. Alone with the waves. Doubt debugged sleep. Had I avenged? Or just iterated the cycle? The cabin felt smaller. Code calling like a siren song. Then, the final ping. An email from an MIT prof. Old mentor. Rose, DHS approached. Want your brain for defensive AI.
Elena Vukid.
Temptations callback. Accept. Go legit, or burn it all. Vanish deeper? The DHS offer landed like a rootkit, buried deep. Promising power if I surrendered keys. I mauled it in the cabin's loft. Rain lashing the tin roof like impatient queries. Defensive AI, firewalls against foreign hacks. Predictive shields for infrastructure. Noble on paper. But we know the fine print surveillance creep. Mission drift into the Echo 3.0 abyss Elena had sketched. Her vouch? Icy calculus. Was it bridge building? Or bait to reel me into her web? Post-protection? I declined. Politely. Thanks. But I'm out of the matrix. Ghosted the prof. Then the node. Kai's updates turning frantic. Feds sniffing our repos. Rose. Lay low. The heat was on. Ripples from the trial eddying back. Protesters at my door?
Nah.
Sutler. Job blacklists whispered in recruiter circles. Harlan's toxic code. Freelance dried up. The garden app stalled. Donors spooked by association. Elena's blog went dark. Replaced by a podcast, Echoes Unplugged, hosted by a reformed bro from the old Nexra bullpen. Episode 5. Her. Unmasked. voice husky with reinvention. Rose taught me revenge isn't the endgame, she drawled. Studio lights probably gilding her glow-up. It's the ref factor. Listeners flooded comments. Queen energy versus snitch simp. I listened on a burner. Parked at a McDonald's in Salinas. Fries growing cold. She plugged a nonprofit. AI for social good. Ironically seeding my co-op code. Plagiarism. Or partnership. The confrontation brewed inevitable. American as a showdown at high noon. She texted coordinates. A beach in Half Moon Bay. Off-season desolation. Waves gnashing like unsent commits. One last run, the message read.
Nos trines.
I went. Wind whipping salt into wounds. Hoodie up against the chill. She waited by a bonfire pit. Flames licking driftwood. Silhouette etched against the surf. Leaner. Tattoo peeking from her sleeve, a circuit fractal. Our old inside joke. Rose. No hug. Just space progress? You look good, I said. Kicking sand. Fire crackling tension. Clean living. You? Surviving. We walked the tide line. Shells crunching underfoot. Words tumbling like foam. She owned it first. The frame? My worst hack. Thought it'd shield you. Board was feral. Sniffing ethics violations. Your data bends? They had dossiers. And the steel? Echoes mine. Yours. She stopped. Facing the horizon. Gulls wheeling like error logs. I was scared. You. The genius, me. The hustler.
Credited myself to.
Belong. Vulnerabilities virus, contagious. Crashing defenses. Belong? You torched us.
Us.
Echo of the warehouse. But softer. I loved you.
Rose.
Still do. In the broken bits. The flip. The leaks, it was my way back. The twist unspooled then. Raw as open source. Ghost? My brother, she confessed. Voice cracking over the roar. Half bro. From Dad's affair. He pulled me into the packs, family debt. Miami mess. Framed you to cut ties. But couldn't. Sent the drive to force the break.
Family.
The secret I'd born? Not just code. But her ghosts, cartel echoes from her youth. Debts I'd unknowingly coded to bury. My glitch tolerance? It amplified her escape. But chain me. Why now? I pressed. Fire dying to embers behind us. Redemption's recursive. Your trial testimony? It freed me to free you. She pulled a USB from her pocket, not a weapon, but a key. Full echo IP. Unredacted. Yours. Start over. Together? Controversial fork. Accept. Merge our lines into something new, ethical empire. Lovers rebooted? Or reject. Walk into the fog alone. Let the waves erase the trace? We stood there. Wind howling debate. The world watched. Unseen, podcasters parsing our silence. Forums betting on reunion or rupture. No one's pure. My data sins saved and scarred. Her betrayals built and broke. Hero? Villain? Just humans. Hashing fate. I took the drive. Fingers brushing hers, spark. Not shock. Together, I said, but rewritten.
Nos a dos.
Her smile.
Tentative downcode.
Compiling hope. We drove north. Her rental SUV hugging cliffs. Radio humming indie folk about lost highways. The cabin welcomed us. Fire relit. Laptops syncing like reunited lovers. First project, Echo's True Air, open source oracle for the overlooked, predicting not profits, but possibilities. Clinics,
Co-ops.
communities coding back. But the ending? Debatable as delta functions. Months in, headlines looped. Harlan Vasquez duo disrupts again, good or grim? Investors circled. Ethics boards barked. One night, over wine by the hearth.
Elena whispered.
What if we glitch again? I kissed her, tasting salt and second chances. Then we debug. Together. Happy? In the Sierra's hush. Yeah, sunrises scripting peace. Code flowing free. Tragic? If you tally the wreckage. Jobs lost. Trust shattered. An America more divided over digits than dollars. The twist lingers. Was reunion revenge's apex? Or just another loop? Readers, you decide. Fork the narrative. Debate the deploy. In the end, we built the product they admire. But this time, the credits roll true. Rose and Elena. Echoes entwined.